Do you think you have to have all the newest bells and whistles on your rifle to survive a gunfight? Welcome back to OG's Danger Show. These days, it's all the rage to have a lightweight rifle with a rail system that holds your optic, your light, your infrared D-ball, your laser rangefinder, a bubble level, a radiation emissions monitor, and of course, that heartbeat sensor from the latest video game combat scene. But what if you have a simple rifle? One that simply tapes magazines, shoots straight, and is dirt simple to use? What if that rifle is rugged, accurate, and well balanced? You might have just bought your first rifle to protect your home and family from the roaming bands of thugs you envision invading your neighborhood during these dystopian times. Maybe you were late to the party and your choices were limited to a standard carry handle style rifle with iron sights, the type of rifle the military has been effectively using for decades. You probably had been eyeing that sweet flat top rifle with the $2,000 optic and all the gizmos, but either your procrastination or your budget left you with the last thing on the wall at the gun store. A simple rifle that just goes boom and makes bad guys fall down. Well, I'm here to ease your mind. You chose wisely, and you are perfectly equipped to protect your home, your farm, your vehicle, and your family. The other day I needed an AR-style rifle for a Taufledermaus video shoot, and so I pulled out my old Bushmaster model XM15-E2S, the rifle more commonly known as the Bushmaster Dissipator. As soon as I put my hands on it, I realized this was one of my favorite rifles, and it was deserving of a short video introducing it to the original gangstas. You might be asking yourself how such a simple rifle could be one of my favorites, maybe even the favorite rifle in my safe. Well, there's something comforting about this short, light rifle, and we go way back. About 1996, I bought the Bushmaster complete lower from a gun dealer. I didn't have 2 nickels to rub together at the time. I was newly married and there were other things that I should have been using my money on. But back then I had a deal with Mrs. OG. I would sell a gun to buy a better gun. And after an abysmal showing at a local 3-gun match with a Ruger Mini 30, I sold it and bought the first piece of my AR-15. All the experienced shooters at the match were shooting ARs, and even better, they were hitting stuff. Unlike me and my Mini 30. The safest place to stand that day was in front of the target. I couldn't hit a damn thing. So now I owned a complete lower receiver. But it was a couple of months before I could afford to buy an upper for it. This gave me time to pore over the little paper Bushmaster catalog like Ralphie Parker, dreaming about his Red Ryder carbon action 200-shot range model air rifle with compass in the stock. I toyed with the idea of a full 20-inch barrel. Nah, too long and heavy, the younger me thought. How about getting a lightweight 16-inch barrel designed for the very 3-gun matches that I had done so poorly in? Well, being practical and only having enough to buy one version, I opted for something right in the middle, the Bushmaster Dissipator. Now, Bushmaster didn't invent the word dissipator, but they pretty much defined this version of the rifle back then. Flat-top rifles were rare in those days. Rifles with red dot sights mounted on them were even more rare. I could barely afford this rifle over a few months. There was no way I was ever going to be able to put an optic on it. When the upper arrived at my front door, I slapped the 2 pieces together and had my first serious fighting rifle. The Dissipator didn't come with a flash hider back then. I bought a Smith Industries muzzle brake and had a local shop mount it and weld it to the muzzle. After a few years, I painted it with its first of many camouflage patterns and swapped out the OEM pistol grip for a Magpul MOE grip. There really wasn't anything more to do with this rifle. I won't go into detail about most of this rifle, because from the A2 buttstock to the fixed carry handle, it's just a regular M16 or AR-15 rifle with a 2-aperture sight system found on almost every military rifle since the 1960s. But forward of the carry handle is where this rifle gets interesting. Many people, my younger self included, thought the Dissipator had a rifle-length gas system and assumed that this made it somehow more reliable. I would quickly learn that the front sight tower was in fact a fake gas block, and the real gas block was hidden under the handguards in the same place as a regular M4 style carbine. Evidently, the gas block was tried at the original rifle position, and the designers found it to be very unreliable. It kicked too much gas too quickly back towards the bolt. So the Dissipator's real advantage is in the sight radius, combined with the short 16-inch barrel. The sight radius on the Dissipator is exactly that of the full-size military M16, a full 20 inches between front and rear sights. This is easy to remember because the length of the original barrel on the M16 was 20 inches. The Dissipator, however, shaves 4 inches off the overall barrel length, making this a much handier rifle in confined spaces. Most Dissipators have a heavy barrel under their handguards, making for a very stable, maneuverable shooting platform. There's something about the combination of this gas system and the muzzle brake and the heavy barrel that gives the Dissipator a very unique feel, different than your typical M4 rifle with its 16-inch barrel. This rifle is comfortable to shoot, and there's very little recoil, and it stays on target better than most rifles in its class. Every time I pick up this little guy, I'm reminded why this just might be my favorite of all rifles. There's something old school cool about it, and despite the lack of a radar weather center and strobe lights, I feel very confident that I could get the job done with this little guy. If you already own a rifle like this, or you just bought one now in the gun buying panic that we're all seeing right now, don't feel ashamed. Don't be worried that your old-timey rifle isn't as fancy as all the rifles the cool kids have. You have a rugged, simple-to-operate rifle that will protect your home and even has the ability to reach out there and comfortably hit stooges at over 300 yards with very little effort. When all those gear queers at the range run out of batteries for the rail-mounted toaster oven and air purifier, your rifle will still be good as the day you took it out of the box. I used this rifle recently at a Taufledermaus video, and it was fairly accurate for the project we filmed, but like every rifle I own, from time to time I like to take it by itself to the range and really dial it in for my chosen distances and work out with it so that I stay comfortable with its feel and operation. It's pretty hot here in Central Cal Unicornia these days, but I'd like you to join me out at the range for a quick sighting in session and a test shoot. I promise to make it short. I'll put some cool tunes in with it and cut out all the tedious adjustments. Let's get going before we get tempted to take out some high-tech Star Wars blaster that should come with its own extension cord. I started by firing the Dissipator at human-sized targets at 50 yards from a bench. The proper way to get a zero on standard military sights is to zero them at 25 yards and then confirm their zero at 300 yards. Unless they are precision rifles designed for reaching out and touching someone at serious social distances, my collection of fighting rifles gets zeroed at 50 yards. Why 50 yards? I'm glad you asked. The rifles I maintain and inspect for my department that ride around with us daily in our patrol cars are zeroed at 50 yards. They have detachable carry handles that we never remove, and therefore we use them with traditional iron sights. I've been shooting self-defense rifles at 50 yards and training other officers to do so for over 20 years. I'm familiar with the distance and the front sight offset out to 50 yards. Tell you what, for having not ever pulled this rifle out in the last year, sighted it in, pretty happy with 50-yard group on that one. We'll adjust it a little bit more to the left and down. All my own social rifles are zeroed for 50 yards, whether they have iron sights or fancy optics. And of course, a 50-yard zero means that this rifle will hit a little bit low at any distance under 50 yards and a little bit high at the distances between 50 and 200. At 200 yards, it's dead on again, and this type of zero is the easiest one for me to work with. Straight off the bench, my group was decent, but not great. It drifted a little to the right and a little high. I went back and made a slight adjustment that brought the group down to the correct elevation, but it was still a little too far to the right. A quick tweak, and the rifle was printing pretty dang good groups at 50 yards. better. I dialed it over. Probably doesn't need to be said, but I'll say it anyway. If you're going to train in really bad conditions like a rainy day, foggy day, a super hot day with lots of flies in your face, you're probably going to be a lot better off because you're going to know exactly what you and your rifle can accomplish under adverse conditions. If you wait for a 75-degree day with perfect sun, where you're sitting at a table, you're going to have kind of an artificial idea of what you and your equipment can do. All right, folks, I'm happy to report 50-yard group. Nice and tight. 5 rounds, 2 of them in the same hole. All right, 2 bad guys. I'm about 15 yards away. Pretty much a good contact distance that might be out just on the edge of a realm of using a pistol. All right, so it's about 180 degrees out here. I'm pretty happy with the performance of this rifle. Very simple rifle. I can defend myself, I can defend my home, I can defend my family with a very simple rifle. No batteries needed, no optics, no lights, no lasers, no infrared. This rifle will get the job done out to quite a distance, and I feel very confident with this old-timey analog rifle. I appreciate you guys joining me out here at the range. I'm gonna go ahead and take off and head back into town. I would appreciate it if you have not already done so. Reach down here and hit the subscribe button. Do me a favor, reach over here and hit that like button. You're supposed to say smash the like button if you're one of the cool YouTube guys. I'm not. And most importantly, copy a link of this video and send it off to a buddy of yours somewhere. Post it on your Facebook and let's help spread this video, spread this channel so we can get everybody watching. I appreciate your help. You guys be safe out there. Stay armed if you're legally able to do so. I will see you on the next video. OG out.